if volunteers had their own personal opinion on what was going on, we were pretty much ousted on the spot for saying different than what the company wanted us to say.
Shocking truths revealed for the day before. So this video is a long one, but a few of the moderators and volunteers over at the day before have left Fantastic, and some were even kicked. They're now speaking out about the shadiness that was going on behind the scenes. What started as a Reddit thread quickly moved over to a fully loaded Discord Q&A where everything was revealed. From volunteers being kicked for asking too many questions about the game, to lies about the workforce numbers where they claimed over 200 developers were working on the game, when in fact there was barely 20. We then found out Discord moderators were the ones who were tasked to actually hire the game developers, the sound engineers, and all other positions needed by Fantastic, and they were told to take on anybody. This long conversation reveals how bad things really were. Ultimately, the founders of Fantastic were lying to the workforce all along, hiding all aspects of the game, not answering questions, and avoiding anything that would reveal the scam that was to unveil on December 7th. To put it bluntly, the workforce were just as much out of the loop with information about the game as we all were. Now you're about to witness all this information and more. I've had to cut down what was nearly 5 hours worth of Discord conversation without removing relevant information and questions that were asked and answered. But I'm just shocked at the things that were happening, and I would not be surprised if lawsuits don't follow Fantastic after this absolute mess. So grab some snacks, sit back and enjoy.
So you're basically free for the time being unless they sign it within X amount of weeks or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, but it's been
Okay.
so long now that it's now void, basically.
So you're basically free to speak on most topics, I imagine so, if not
Yep.
not every topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think you're saying that they people are surprised that there was any kind of communication between you guys at all. That was a kind of a overarching thought, but I suppose that wasn't the case. So if that wasn't the case, was there a point where the original founders were worried? Like, what spawned the distrust? 'Cause I feel like there would be some kind of distrust when you see this game announced and you know its premise and you know its potential is what people want. Clearly, Steam list indicates that people want the game to be good. They want this game, period. Was there a point where you thought that the game that they originally said wasn't going to be what it was on release?
Yeah, and that's.
And if so, how did you find out about that, or how did that come to pass?
Well, you see all the videos that they first published on YouTube with the trailer and the gas station, the two guys in the city, which was very scripted. You know those
Yes,
videos.
That's still on
YouTube
IGN.
video.
That's
Yeah.
They've still got that, luckily.
Yeah. That's where everything started actually. In the private, how do you say that? Private platform. You know, we had conversations on Microsoft Teams, our private place. A lot of volunteers, including me, had a lot of questions like, "Is this scripted, or is there anything?" Can you share some behind the scenes pictures or a simple screenshot and everything? And they were a bit, how do you say that? Away from that.
Sketchy.
Like standoffish?
Yeah.
Okay, standoff.
Everything was just very not what I was. I've been working with game companies and everything for the past 7-8 years now, and I have never seen something like that. It was very new to me, and it looked really like they did not know how to promote the game, market the game, develop the game, or even how to communicate with their volunteers.
Wolfie used to be a head admin, head mod.
Yeah. It was from that moment we all had a lot of questions, and they couldn't really answer them. You know?
Was that because what they shown in the trailer wasn't something that was developed yet, or what was the cause of that shock? Like,
Well, it was very scripted, very cinematic, and I knew from the start that it was made out of assets because I also played The Division, and I saw a lot of objects that were looking exactly the same. So a lot of people did some research, and it was confirmed by us, but not by them, because they said, I'm not sure what they have said, but they told, it was also publicly available to see, that they are making their own stuff, something like that. Yeah, and that's where it, all started. We all found it a little bit sus, but we still had hope, and we believed in them.
Can I jump in?
Sorry.
Question for you, Wolf. When the game got pulled from Steam, there were a lot of rumors and stuff like that going about. You commented on it saying that it was a Steam bug. Yep. Was that information that you knew, or was that information that you were told? I guess you didn't know much about the trademark dispute.
So here's the thing. Some of you may or may not know my name, but I was on news articles and YouTube videos and everywhere. I made an announcement, including on Steam, saying that there was a Steam maintenance going on and the game was removed or something, hidden due to maintenance. That happens every Wednesday, if I'm correct. Every week, every Wednesday, around a certain time. And I simply said, "Hey guys,
Tuesday night. It's Tuesday night."
Yeah, there was a maintenance going on, stuff like that, just to let everyone know about it. But what we did not know as volunteers, they discussed or nothing with the volunteers like, hey, the game is removed, or we weren't aware of the trademark dispute and stuff like that. So,
Okay,
wait,
thank you.
Maybe I can see the picture.
Yeah, that answers that question. Thank you. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I hope I understand. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question as well. At any point during your time, were you presented with a roadmap or a timeline or anything that would indicate that they have a fixed plan about the game?
No.
Good question. No, damn. Shit.
Did any of the volunteers have constant communication with the community manager? Yeah, we did. If so, how did that go and how did that work on the debut? Well, like I said, a lot of volunteers, including me, had a lot of questions, of course, and we even made a list of questions. I think it was a list of 20 simple, very basic questions, like, hey, will there be female characters in the game? I don't really remember where the list is, but basically very simple questions, and they answered that a few months later. So that was also quite sus. Like, what? Such a simple question,
I've got a question for you, Wolf. It might have already been asked. I'm a bit late to the party here, but obviously before the game come out, they stated, don't accuse us of scamming or asset flipping. It's 5 years of blood, sweat, and tears. All big things. And this was around the time they released the video of the trailer in New York in Times Square. When it all started going, down the pan with the negative reviews and stuff, what was the damage control? Were you involved in any of that? Like, did they mention anything? Did they try and get you guys to damage control on Discord? Was there like any meetings? Like, what was said? Because obviously they were well aware within a couple of hours, like, how bad this went.
So basically we defending the game?
Yeah.
Something like that. From my point of view, I had hope. I believed in the game and the company and stuff like that, and I saw everything really positive because the company is very huge. The game has a lot of potential. Why would you waste that?
Yeah.
So of course, I defended them, even though I had my thoughts, and a lot of volunteers had the same thing. If that answers your question correctly.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to get at is obviously the founders at Fantastic. Did they ever communicate with you about damage control? Like, this is all going a bit too wrong here. Like, we need to do something. Was that ever mentioned by them?
Finch, do you know? Yeah, sorry, I'm Dutch.
No. What I'm trying to get at is because there's been no communication from them at all, The only communication I've seen is them posting on their Twitter about updates, and they've not really addressed the massive mess that they've made.
I have no idea, actually.
All right, no, that's fine.
I think I can twist that question a little bit, maybe to more to your liking. Is that based on your experience with the founder and probable team members, what do you think will happen next? Because obviously they are not in damage control mode; they are just trying to sell the game as is, like changing Steam tags, putting out communication that it was the intended game and things like that. What do you think will happen next from their side?
Oh, what will happen next? Oh, well, I
Educated guess, I suppose.
do have contact with Alexei in DMs and other communication managers, but nothing really useful to point out. What I think what will happen right now, I do not know. But what I do know is that the game got reported on Steam a few thousand times, I think. Uh, I think the game will indeed be deleted, and I also think they will get a lawsuit, another lawsuit, because the game got promoted and they showed differently, and the game, I think, was funded by the Singapore government, if I'm correct. I don't really know what the government laws are and stuff like that when it comes to, making a game and them funding it. But I saw some people talking about they had to refund every single person that bought the game because it was wrongly advertised. But like I said, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Could I pop in a question before you head on to text?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there? I mean, you're being on, I guess, on the inside. Was there a build you might have seen that nobody else did yet?
Nope.
No, okay. Because I've always wondered if there was some kind of like this was the build at some point, and then they botched it, and it became what it is now.
Yeah.
So as far as you know, this is what it is. This is as good as it gets currently.
Yeah, so basically you are saying or asking to me like, have you as a volunteer seen any gameplay, stuff like that?
Yes. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we did not. No, nobody
Damn.
did. We did ask a lot of we did ask I think a few hundred times, like, why is it so hard to make a picture with your cell phone of the developers working on the game, have some post that on online to have that little communication, stuff like
Peace of
that,
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Other companies do the same thing. They make a picture of, how someone is like editing a character or how the whatever, some behind the scene pictures,
Yeah.
but they don't. They didn't.
Why?
Yeah.
Why did you leave?
No, I did not leave.
Oh no, I mean not leave. I mean you gave up your moderation, didn't you?
Nope, I got kicked.
Oh, you got. Oh,
Oh.
sorry. Why did you get kicked?
So, wait, maybe I can. If you look up the day before on Google and then Wolf after it, I'm going to do that right now. I
He
need an
basically
example.
didn't hire enough free people. Is what it was.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, he
no
didn't
wait,
hire
that
enough
was
volunteers.
yeah, I got kicked out of the lead of volunteers position because I was working way too slow. Even in a way, I do understand it, but I mean, if I want someone to be in the volunteer program, I want them to have a good reputation. Well, they simply wanted me to hire everyone.
Well, yeah, because anybody you hire, their reputation can damage your reputation if they don't behave.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
So
think
I
everyone
am
would do exactly what Wolf would do in his position.
looking for a picture right now that was published on Twitter or something like that. But basically, what I was saying as a head moderator on the day before official Discord server is that I start to wonder if the game is real or not. And from that moment, I've fucked it up for myself, and I know that I was wrong, but I was very frustrated. I basically worked my ass off 24/7 without some actual appreciation, and I just said that, and yeah, I had to apologize, stuff like that, and from there it went downhill, and they kicked me out. As an
Af-
addition, Sorry.
Sorry, I just want to include a question here because it might be relevant. After the fallout with the founders and the whole team, were you threatened with any legal action?
No, but I did got threatened by a few thousand people.
Random
I
people?
Yeah, I don't really know what I said or what I have done. When I got out of when my position was removed, I had a lot of people, including content creators with a few 100,000 and a few million subscribers, contacting me. I think 80% of 1,000 people harassed me, stalked me, were very disrespectful and stuff like that. And the fun thing is, right now everyone is coming back, apologizing and stuff like that. But I had to hide
Yeah.
myself for a moment. Another thing that I would like to add is my position got removed. I got kicked out of the head moderator position. Not only because I made mistakes, which I was fully aware of, but also by the Brofest moderation team, Levitate, Soap, and mostly Levitate. So
What's
basically,
up,
what
Wolf?
happened? Huh? What?
What's up, Wolf? How are you?
I'm doing very good, thank you. So me, Soap, and Levitate, including Lyco Forbador, who are now, I think, head moderator or senior moderator, we're very good friends. We had a click at the beginning. Everything was nice. We were in call for daily together, playing games, having fun. And then Levitate was Levitate from the start was already the guy that was very big of himself. You know, he knows this things better than me. He knows he has way more money than me. He was very full of himself, and from that moment, I started to dislike him a little bit. And he used Grammarly and other software to make him look very professional, and he took over my spot, and now I'm here. Yeah.
So are you working on Gray Zone now? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm not working on Gray Zone right now. I am basically moderating. And I don't want to.
Moderating.
Yeah, I don't want to advertise that game. You know.
Ah,
Okay.
well,
Yeah,
that was
I heard the current soundtrack for the day before is pretty trash. Not gonna lie.
Mhm.
oh,
So
well,
as you guys know, what I had to do as a leader of volunteers is to hire people who have experience with engineering, game development, music, and stuff like that. They did not do anything with that, and Casalina here is a great example. Casalina is, I think, a componist or a music maker or something.
Yeah, a composer. I just finished working on Pavlov for their Sony release. I was
Yeah, so
supposed to work. I was supposed to do the day before, but they were really weird. And I was doing a demo, but I got COVID, and I'm like, "Can I get a few days?" And they're like, "Sure." And then they just hired another guy who did a really bad job. But it's all good because I don't even know if the day before is going to be a real game in a year from now. So it's not really.
other day before is real, but people wished it wasn't.
Well, I mean, not real. I mean, I don't know if they're actually going to continue
Yeah, I know.
development and make
That's well
a
put.
good game.
Let me check. I forgot to answer a lot of people in the text.
I tagged you with a bunch of them.
Are you able to comment on the massive amount of store-bought assets used? I think everyone is able to comment on that. We already saw it coming, though, so
I don't
we
think the
knew.
issue is them using store-bought assets. That's not the problem. The problem is that they've lied, saying, "Oh, don't accuse us of asset flipping," which is exactly what they've done. I mean, there's plenty of games that have used assets and no one's gave a shit, really.
Exactly.
Like,
Nobody
Yeah.
cares
I
about
think
assets.
the whole
issue
thing
is
Sorry, go on.
Coherency. Yeah, it's the coherency and competency of using them, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not so much using assets; it's putting them together in a coherent, cohesive way that makes a decent game with a decent game loop.
Exactly, and like
They just didn't do that.
reason the asset store exists is so that there are devs out there who like myself and many others who can't animate, they can't model. It's like, oh, I'll just buy this. It's not an issue. But
to be clear, what they did here is they quite literally Control-C, Control-V straight from the store.
Exactly,
almost all of it. They made nothing themselves. There's clearly no scratch code.
No.
They've not done their own blueprint stuff. No. Nothing. They don't done anything.
No, exactly.
They literally have just pasted what they bought off the store and hoped it fit together in some way.
Yeah, but again, people wouldn't care if they had told you that, but they turned around before launch and said, don't accuse us of asset flipping. I think what's happened here, right, is they've made a controlled tiny map in Unreal Engine, which you can do, like most people can do. You need a bit of savvy about you. And they've made it look like Division, like especially the IGM one where he goes into that massive skyscraper and the zombies eating his friend. There's mantling, there's vaulting, there's all these features that are not in the game. They've made this trailer, IGN, all the other gaming websites and YouTube channels have hosted it, and it blew up. And then that's when they were like, shit, we actually have to make this game now. That's why there was delays. That's why there was nothing announced. Just no communication at all. Complete radio silence. And then a year later, all we get is an extraction shooter, not an MMO. All this was a video that they staged, or a mini game that they had staged, and it was a lie that just got way out of hand. That's exactly what's happened.
Yeah.
So there's actually a question from Faithy that's been there for a while. I'll just read it to you to save you from all the DMs you're probably getting and whatnot.
Yeah, thanks.
So Faithy asked, even from the NDA conversation earlier, I noticed a bad organization of processes. Was there any realistic plan at all, either dev, roadmap, or release of a rollout that you know of?
Nope.
And if, I guess this is the most important part, how much have they hidden from you? How much was a surprise? Because it seems like none of the people I've ever spoken to as well have any idea what's going on. I'm not sure if that's due to NDA or just actually not knowing.
We didn't know shit.
We didn't know anything. Basically.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yep. Yeah, Hovercats is also asking, is there an actual development team, real developers, or was it developed by only two brothers? I think Fast did a bit of research about that. They said they had over 100 developers or something.
No, they didn't. They've, at most, in any time ever, I think they've had like 26 listed on LinkedIn. I can't find anything linked anywhere in Singapore outside of the other 23 developers they brought in at a point and subsequently disappeared instantly after hiring them. The only thing I can find in relation to 200 developers or something is that Mytona do have a mobile arm, which has around 180 staff, not developers to be clear. They have 180 staff, and that's the largest thing they have across Mytona, and they have nothing to do with Fantastic. So I have no idea how they concluded they have 200 plus people working on the game. It just doesn't seem plausible.
They counted the volunteers. They were considering volunteers part of the employee staff.
But
yeah, but no volunteer worked on the game.
Wasn't Mytona part of the deal with Nvidia, like part of the structured deals that they had with Nvidia? I'm pretty sure they had something to do with that. Mytona,
I have
that
no
is.
idea.
Okay.
The thing that we also had questions about is if you look up on the games section on the website of Mytona, you see mobile, very simple looking shitty games, and then out of nowhere Prop Night came, and then out of nowhere the day before came, and it didn't make any sense.
No, exactly.
Let me check.
Another question from Zuck.
Yeah.
He asked, do you have any info not initially released by FN, like things they may have mentioned but were not announced? I keep hearing speculation. We were provided an older version of the game, so I'm curious about if you have any knowledge about this. I've also heard that too a few times.
No, I know.
Can I ask?
Yeah, basic. It comes to the I'm not really sure how to explain it, but let's just say everything that you guys know, we knew. Nothing was new, if that makes sense, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Wolf,
Yeah.
you mentioned that you were a head moderator, right? And you were recruiting people, right? You were recruiting mostly the volunteers, or you were recruiting everyone? Like everyone, I mean, in developers, voice actors,
Yeah, that was the
etc.
point. That was the point. Me hiring people who have experience in the gaming development, like you said. Guy in here, I'm not sure if he is in here still. His name is Casalina. He's a componist, and I had contact with him because he is making a lot of great music. Very, very great. He's very, very talented, and I was really interested in him to let him work with or for Fantastic to use this guy, but nothing came out of it. I don't really know how to say it, but they wanted me to hire people who have experience in the gaming development, but nothing was used. Nobody was used.
No. We had asked several times for any additional information on the development of the game, and it was always, you will find out in time, or we have nothing to share. And so there was a lot of arguments back and forth that happened in the Teams chat about, like, why are we not able to get, like, like a pre-alpha or a tech test on the game to test it before release, a whole bunch of stuff like that, and we never were told anything about it.
Yeah. The only thing that we did as volunteers was basically there were tests when it comes to prop night, and that's everything
That was
we
it.
basically did. And
Was
then
just prop.
yeah, then they announced continent, which we also had to test. And that's basically the only two things that we really did for being a volunteer. Testing prop night for 2 or 3 times and continent, and that's everything we basically did.
Yep.
Wasn't there
And
no?
anything that had to
Oh, sorry. Wasn't there any sign of any reward for all the work
no.
that you were
Nope.
doing, or like even a free game key, or something like that? Or
Yeah,
'cause
we
to
did.
me,
That was it.
it sounds like you guys have been fucked over more than the people have who've bought it and haven't refunded it.
So the only rewards that we actually get was prop coins for prop night, skins for prop night, a few keys, I think. No, wait, a few keys for
Yeah.
prop night, and a thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
We
nice.
got they would email us a key whenever they're like, hey, do you have the game yet? And we're like, hey, no. They're like, okay, well, here's this key. We need this testing done. I need you, go find some of these bugs that people have been reporting and let us know what you find out. That's kind of how it went. So
Yeah.
the
They also
keys were
wanted
really only handed out if they needed you in there to test it.
Yeah, when they needed something from you.
Yep.
they also
Yeah.
wanted us to test like their app, like the continent app for them too, and
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
This question
There is a
from. Sorry.
I think we wanted to say the same one. There is a question on chat from Soy Greg asking that was there any point in your time with them that you realized that they were lying or pushing out a lie, and if so, what was it?
Wait, can you repeat? Sorry, I was
Sure.
sorry.
So,
Sorry, man.
was there any point in your time with them that you realized they were lying or pushing out a lie? What was it, if so?
I told that at the beginning as well. The trailer came out. It was very cinematic, very scripted, and stuff like that. And from that moment, everyone knew, even volunteers, that it started to get a bit sus. Yeah, and them not answering questions for a few months, very basic questions,
Hacer cosas, venga.
was also a bit sus. And then out of nowhere, Continent came, and everyone was asking questions that were not answered in a very informal way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and something I noticed in the volunteer program is I watched a few volunteers get removed for asking the very simplest of questions when it came to, the day before, like, why haven't we gotten anything? Why does this, like, anytime we had a different opinion, like, something's not adding up, can we get answers? And then they were gone, like, the next day.
like me.
Uh,
And
Teffy is asking a question. How was the release like for you? Could you share about the experience and how did the horror unfold for you? I streamed the game on Twitch, loaded it up. I had a lot of FPS issues. The game looked really crap. Maybe it's because of my PC, but in general, my first impression was like, first of all, the tutorial is bullshit. They did that on purpose for the refund policy. Maybe I'm not sure, but that's how I feel like. So I
That's
skipped
how I feel.
everything very quickly. I got in the game. Then I realized that you get your own house assigned, but I thought it was different for anyone, and I thought you had to go to your house without any cutscene. But basically, you teleport to your own house, and that's basically it. Yeah, the furniture you can buy, place it into your house. You cannot even sit on a chair. You cannot even turn on the light for the aesthetics. I was very pissed.
Yeah, sure. The question was that do you think they will ever admit that they were at fault with this whole game and release, or they will just try and disappear in the shadows and make everyone forget about this whole thing?
I do not know, man. I'm just gonna say I had hoped. I had hope. I had a lot of thoughts about the game, but I still believed in them, and it turned out to be the opposite. So yeah, let's just say I went through a lot of shit for the past 2.5 years or something, where I even got to the point of being not sure what the correct word is, but being depressed or depressive or something because I was heavily attacked and everything.
And
That
Uh,
sucks.
yeah,
just
24/7.
relate.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think I can say for us all, thank you for doing this and giving us
Yeah.
the opportunity to ask and to get your side of the story across. Because all we saw was the likes of streamers and Big Fry and Kira and everybody slamming your name around, saying you're at fault for doing this, you're at fault for doing that. Where clearly you're a fucking person, you've got feelings, and there's nothing worse than somebody behind a keyboard 1,000 miles away calling you every name under the sun.
Yeah, exactly. And there are also a lot of content creators, which I'm not going to name, that want to have a conversation with me, that have questions for me as well. But I mean, I will be on YouTube and everything, and it may look. I don't feel doing that. My name being on everything. Thousands of
Honestly,
people
I'm gonna be
watching.
honest here. People genuinely care more about what you have to say at this point than anyone else defending it.
Definitely.
Or
I think
yeah,
so,
we
yeah.
will. I think the world wants to hear you more than they want to hear Shill. They
Yeah.
want to know what happened because everyone who's in this call right now wanted this game to be what it was, and probably pre-ordered it or have waited and have kind of kept that same hope as you did, except you were more invested into it than we were. Obviously, working for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, please do if you can. That would be fantastic. I think not only for you, but for the community to realize that it's not always the devs and the mod teams. They're trying to work together, but it all has to work together, or else it ends up like this, where you ask a question and the answer is we don't know. And there shouldn't be many questions that you shouldn't be able to answer, but even you don't know the answers, which
Yeah.
is kind of where I think people are angry and they're not sure where to redirect their anger. And if they found out that you don't know, they're going to start looking past you at other people like, why doesn't he know? He should know this. Like, this should be standard kind of team building questions.
Well,
So
even
to
the
speak.
strangest. Oh, sorry, anymore? I don't know.
No,
I
go
don't
ahead,
want to
buddy.
cut you off. Oh, I was going to say that even the one of the big things that they should also do too is you should also, like, if you're making a game, you should have a document that is like stuff you can share with everyone, but then also have a document that is public that is listing what is actually part of the game instead of just being so secretive and being like, oh well, here's the trailer, but no provide no information about it at all, like no information about what the features are going to be. Like you need to provide more information with the public, and then have a document that you can share with internal volunteers and or workers that, hey, this is what you can share with the community, and if they ask something else, then you just have a generic response saying, "Oh yeah, we'll be providing more information in at blah blah blah" or something. You know what I mean?
It's actually good
Absolutely.
that it's actually good that I hear your voice, Finch, because I know you are developing your own project right now, and I'm pretty sure there are many people who are developing or involved in game development some way. Do you guys think that this was an appropriate reaction from them, what they did, or would you do the same thing in this scenario?
I
Yeah,
hate everything.
there should have been more transparency with it. Like they keeping everybody in the dark about it, and then when people would ask questions, and then the response is, "We have nothing for you." It's like you being in the volunteer program, you could see that there was a communicational error. 100%. They did
It,
not share any details if you ask questions.
even like the stuff like when they release news items, it was always like the day before, or even like not even a day before. It was like, here's the news article. You can get a sneak peek ahead of time, and they post an hour later. I'm like, well, that's not really a sneak peek. That's just like saying, here's the post, Gene, we're gonna post in an hour. Like,
It really didn't help with anything because I think almost all the volunteers got attacked in some sort of way because they targeted us because there's nobody in Fantastic that is in that Discord to answer questions. I mean, there is, but they don't answer. They don't barely ever show online. So it was always us getting the heat of everything.
and that's the
Yeah.
other thing too.
That's definitely intentional.
So basically, you were just a safety barrier between the people and the founders of the company.
That's
Yeah,
the
which
other
is
thing.
why I'm trying to highly kind of encourage him to come out and kind of speak about what happened so people start looking elsewhere. Like people, as I said, they are a human shield between this. They'll take all the problems, but they don't understand. Like people don't know why they're angry at Wolf kind of deal. Like they just know that he's a name and that's the guy that we know the name of. So bad that guy. And I think if he came out to like a streamer of some sort or did some kind of Q&A with whoever of his choosing, it would do everyone involved a huge favor.
Yeah.
And for those wondering, the Discord is actually owned by the founders of the Fantastic too. And on top of that, the reason why it's not verified or pertinent is because they failed the application so many times.
How do you fail that application?
By the way,
I
guys,
mean,
That's a
honest
great
question.
question.
Yeah, honest question. How do you fail that?
Yeah.
if you are
I
looking,
don't know.
oh sorry,
Oh no, go ahead.
if you are looking on the general chat right now, here's something that I said that was screenshotted and posted on Twitter. As a head moderator, I said this, for example. And that was, I don't know, maybe I can still find it in the official Discord.
I remember that post. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Oh
Jeez.
yeah, it's still there. It's still there. I posted that on August 14, 2022. Those who are not banned from there, let me copy this. Here is the link.
I can't see it.
Yeah, I am banned. Although the funny thing is, even though I'm banned, all my pins are still in the general chat there of all my stuff.
So from that around that time and date, we all started to wonder, you know? That's just an example.
Is there
Actually-
anyone you're still in contact with that how would I word this? Is there anyone you're still in contact with that
Yes.
not angry right now?
I do. I have, well, not like daily or weekly, but I still had contact with a few ex communication managers where I was quite close to them, like we're just friends, you know. And I, of course, I had questions, but I know they have a high position, they have an NDA, stuff like that. But they did. Now I'm not gonna explain the reason about why they left, but let's just say they were very tired. Let's just keep it at that. They were very tired.
I
mean,
think
well-
they could face a class action in certain.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Like if they're
No,
gonna
no,
do
no, no, no,
something
no,
like
no,
that,
no. The guy I put in the general chat saying they should sue the streamer for damages because it's damaging the reputation
yeah.
of the game.
No, no, there should be a class action lawsuit against Fantastic for the misrepresentation of what they were actually putting out, the false advertisements.
It's a bait and
The
switch.
clearly, I know Paulie, the guy who did all the stuff for Unreal Engine 5. I spoke to him, and he was pretty upset that they basically took his package, his assets, and just did an asset flip with him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Paulie goes after him too.
Oof.
but how far that could go realistically?
Realistically, it'd be hard because if they paid for the asset, then they own the rights to it as well. So it'd be hard for them to.
I mean, the question is more about not Poly specifically, but like the class action lawsuit with misrepresentation and false advertising and all that.
That could go
That's
all the
very
way.
likely. That can happen because if you go into something and you represent your product as this and it's the complete opposite, and people spent all this money because you falsely advertised, they can sue you for the damages because they're like, we wasted our time, we wasted our money for something that you falsely advertised. Since it's not what it is, either we get our money back or you completely remake the game into what it was supposed to be.
Well, yeah, in a perfect world, that makes sense. However, if we have something like we have with the day before, we had this with War Z, Infestation Stories, and many other games, like, for example, what was that? Digital Homicide, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of like asset flips and shit like that misrepresented the game. They lied through their teeth throughout the whole process. How is it that this continues to go on if class action lawsuits were a thing like that? It's just very unrealistic to get that together. I hope you understand what I mean. I'm not saying that
You would
people
need
shouldn't,
you
but
would
it's
need a
just
mass of people. You would need a serious mass of people to get it going. But
You would
it's
you would almost it would almost be impossible to sue them. They specifically made their forwarding company in Singapore to avoid liability. The only liability they would have is through Mytona Fantastic, which is in New Zealand. But I mean, they could close that tomorrow and liquidate it. So it doesn't really matter because it's owned by one person, and he only has to ask himself if he wants to liquidate it. So yeah, that they made the game in Russia. So they're in Russia. They opened a company in Singapore, which leaves them with no legal liabilities. And the only thing that connects them at all is Mytona Fantastic New Zealand. It's going to be very, very complicated and almost impossible to deal with them legally.
impossible.
It would need somebody bigger, pretty much. Somebody would need to like want to make that their thing.
Did you see the address that is like the wall?
If a class action lawsuit was going to take place, you'd have to jump on it pretty much right now before they do anything to protect themselves from it. You'd have to literally do it before they get a chance.
See, Steam have avoided liability by removing its presence on the store, though it is still on there. They've essentially it's not delisted, like it's not removed, but you have to search for it. So that would be their responsibility gone at this point. So I don't know who you would chase.
Also, there was another box of chaos circling around today. What stated that what we have right now is the pre-alpha version of the game, and there is a full version of the game, but the volunteer devs are not releasing it because they are not getting paid. Is that something that might have truth to it, or is it just a wild conspiracy theory?
On Steam, so on the top sellers, if your revenue, that's purely based on revenue. So it's the top 5,000 games by revenue. And we have seen sometimes games that come up on there, and I think their refunds drop them down basically into either negative revenue or very low. So we have a game, Stationeers, and it sits usually about 1,500 on that. And that ends up being about USD $800 a day gross. So not much. So if they're not even in that top 5,000, then their revenue will be very low, likely because of the refunds. Sorry to interrupt.
You might actually be right, because they do appear on the new releases list, but you do have to search for them. They don't come up anywhere until you search.
I still can't believe there's 7,500 people still playing it at this minute.
Yeah,
No,
it's
yeah.
So
I mean, if you do it,
another. If so, Steam will remove you if you're very or overwhelmingly negative from some of the recommendation queue stuff and stuff like that. But the top sellers is driven, purely based on revenue. So I think someone else had pointed out they were in the top sellers. They were actually like number 3 for briefly. But I believe that so they're probably experiencing very heavy refunds, which would make Steam very annoyed, because they face a lot of transaction fees, particularly if people are refunding to their cards and not to their Steam wallet.
That's why I said before, is if you're over 2 hours, you need to ask for it back in your Steam wallet, because you ain't getting one into your PayPal on your credit card.
yeah, if you do a simple Google search of the day before, it pops up first thing on Steam. Like you still find it pretty quick just through Google search.
Yeah.
I wonder if Steam has any like grounds on, doing any legal action.
Well, they could
that
remove them, because the early access documentation literally said, like, I don't know if you guys have seen it, I'm sure you have. They break the rules of their early access by quite a margin, and they haven't removed them yet, so it's quite telling.
Well, the thing is, there's nobody at Steam until Monday, is there?
Yeah,
they don't work
weekend.
Yeah,
they do have quite a lot of. They do have 24-hour staff,
So-
and they'll be aware of this. And I think they'll get nervous about refunds, but they're very reluctant to remove stuff from the store and to wade into stuff. What might end up happening is that my toner actually request for it to be delisted, because it could end up causing them problems with all the refunds. That's a possible likelihood.
Yeah. I do know that Steam will do a complete delist of the game, and they will prevent the developers from putting any other games on their platform if enough refunds and if the reviews are bad enough to where everybody's saying, yo, they completely lied about their game. Steam will remove the game from their platform.
If
completely.
Steam removes it and delists it on their side, does everybody get a refund?
Yes.
To the Steam wallet?
Well, no, hold on. So it depends, because some games, when they've done that, they've just let people who bought it keep the game on their list. But then other games, they've fully refunded, so I don't know. They have had games where they delisted, so I don't know how that works.
When you put your game on Steam, you give Steam a perpetual license for anyone who buys it to receive it. So there's a game I used to really like, actually, called Helion, and they got their game delisted, but anyone who still owns it can still play it. So even if they pulled it from the store, which I honestly think is very unlikely, it would be pretty much unprecedented. Steam typically is only removed stuff once the developer tries to take them to arbitration, because under their Steam agreement, they can't take them to court. It's to arbitration. And that's usually the only time they get ripped off.
The Stomping Land did that in 2014, though. That they didn't go through arbitration. They literally disappeared with the money, fucked off, and admitted it, I think, publicly. So that's why it was removed. But that game was left on people's things, and no one was refunded, like you said. So
if anything, Steam might just refund everybody. That would be a good PR move.
Very much so. It would remove all liability from Steam completely if they just delist the game and refund everybody.
I think though they would make the argument that it is playable. You can play it, I think it's probably unlikely. Personally, I think that Steam would take action over that, although they might get quite mad at them about all the refunds.
I mean, there's
certainly
been
an interesting situation.
There's been several games, like on my list, for example. There was Nosgoth. There's been H1Z1. I think everyone knows this game. Has been live for a few years before it got delisted, but it had spawned from Just Survive, which was a completely different game. And all of those are delisted, but you can still play them. Even though they're delisted, you didn't get a refund, even though the games are not playable anymore. Like, they have third-party services. Like, it's kind of like always online stuff, generally. So this game also falls under the always online umbrella, right? So I don't think they're going to be refunding people, but they'll probably just delist it, remove it from the storefront, and remove maybe they will leave the download alive, but that's about it. I don't think that people will get refunded in this case.
I mean, under any other circumstance, I would have said it was extremely unlikely for Steam to delist it or take action. But I have to admit, this is pretty unprecedented territory with the review score and stuff like that. So it is certainly possible.
Sorry, just wanted to jump in really quick. Wolf is asking in the Q&A chat if anybody has any questions left. So throw your questions in there for him, please.
Yeah, Wolf, being a volunteer as well as me and Finchy, I don't know if anybody else in here was. I don't know. How do you actually feel knowing that, we volunteered for a company and just got completely shut out the way we did? Like, I'm
Why did you
honestly
get
curious
shut
on your
out?
opinion.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, what's your emotional feeling towards how they treated all of us?
When I got out, or right now, or
Like all together, like the process of it, like the waves that you went through with it.
like I said, I believed in them, in the game, the company, Prop Night, the day before. I worked my ass off 24/7, multiple hours a day, without getting paid, because I was very passionate about it, and I still am, want to work my way up in the gaming world, and possibly work in a gaming company. You know what I mean?
Right.
I wanted an actual career, and I wanted to prove myself. And then I did things. I made mistakes. I took the karma with respect, and from there everything went downhill. I was harassed, attacked, stalked, and stuff like that. YouTubers talking about me, blah blah blah, and I was really depressed, or depressive, if that's the correct word. And my hope was drained. How do you say that? I was feeling very empty, very used, very, it just sucks, working my way up, working my ass off. All I got was a thank you, and 2 years are basically wasted. I did improve my skills and experience regarding management and moderation, which is nice. But yeah,
You were the head moderator, right?
yeah, I was, yeah.
And what was the exact reason why they kind of shoved you out the door?
He's being honest.
I was honest. I saw things coming, and I also got. How do you say that? Now, I don't want to point out names, but people. Yeah, I did already say that. Basically, people took over my spot. Levitate. You know.
So
See it
People
as
got power hungry.
think about this. Now, keep in mind I'm Dutch. I'm trying my best to explain it in English. Let's just say you meet someone, you become very good friends, hang out in voice calls, game together, and out of nowhere, without realizing, you get a knife in the back. Let's just keep it at that. I think that explains it.
Yeah, but that does not
Betrayed.
that does
You
not
feel
explain
betrayed.
how you got bonjoured out of the head moderator role, right? There must be something that you did that
have
the
you have you
that
seen the
FN
comment he
thought
posted?
that you crossed a line or something. There must have been something like
He shared his personal opinion on what was going on, and they disagreed with his personal opinion. I brought this up like 30 minutes ago. How
I
if
wasn't
any
here.
of the
I'm sorry.
volunteers,
Yeah, it's all
Yeah, I
good.
wasn't here. Sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
take a look
okay. So
in the text channel of this voice channel. You
Yeah,
see
there's
it.
been some receipts on this.
He
yeah,
just
so
said what everyone was thinking. That's all it was.
yeah,
That's all it
if
took.
if volunteers had their own personal opinion on what was going on, we were pretty much ousted on the spot for saying different than what the company wanted us to say.
Yeah.
Like if we're like something's not clicking, something's not getting put together, the puzzle pieces aren't matching up. We want to know what's going on, and then we go out and we're like, hey, like this doesn't seem right. They were like, okay, well,
Yeah, I
It's
also had
kind of
conversations in private DMs with a bunch of volunteers and moderators, and those. The fun thing is, now I'm not really sure what I said, but you can use Google Elements to change the words on browser. They used that as well to kick me out, and they even shared private conversations that I had with other people to the public. In this case, it was on Microsoft Teams with a private, our private place, which is not allowed. And as you can see, where does it say? It seems like someone in the team is sharing information even if Wolf is not on the team anymore. He is also threatening someone in DM because he shared a screenshot of conversations when it's not the case. So what I did like, I'm gonna report you, how do you say that? What's the word for that? Threatening?
Yeah.
I was threatening them because they were sharing my private DMs, which is not allowed on Discord in general. And well, that's what also got me kicked out, If
Yeah,
that makes
Basically, he
sense.
was problematic, and they got rid of him. Pretty much.
I got removed
Wait.
because I said that trailer that they posted, that 3-minute trailer with only them just showing their display in New York City. I literally said that was the biggest waste of a final trailer I've ever seen. Not to mention, it almost looks like Unreal Engine 5 rendering. Like, it's the way you guys did it. It looks just like you just did a cinematic. And then I got kicked out right after that.
I mean, you can do that in DaVinci Resolve pretty easily with tracking.
Yeah, I got a question, I guess, for everyone who was involved. I think there's a few people here that were involved in some way or another. For the people who have still stuck around on the FN side, what do you think is keeping them there at this point?
False
Yeah.
hope. So
I
that's
really
also
doubt that.
that's also a thing. I still wonder why the moderators that are still a moderator at the day before are still defending the game or are still even a moderator at all.
It's because they have a Discord to moderate, no more, no less.
I'll jump back to the point of like Fiverr stuff. It kind of looks like some of the people that got like moderation rights in the recent, like in the last 2 days. For example, Bakery, who was just a run-of-the-mill user when I joined into the server and is now the head moderator for the game. There's literally no reason why they would be a head moderator outside of like there probably is some conversations behind the scenes, and most likely those people are paid to do the bare minimum of like clearing out the chat, like deleting messages that
They're
are
not.
unfavorable and stuff like that.
They're
I
not.
don't think they're getting
They're not
paid.
paid at all.
You think?
There's too much. There's too much chaos in that server, and not enough deletions for them to even, I think, attempt to look like they're doing any work.
They said themselves that they are unpaid.
I got a question.
That's just like I don't know how brain dead you can be in this situation. Like I'm sorry, but realistically speaking, no one with any ounce of like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Dignity.
No.
Brain.
No. Like
self-respect.
The thing you get at 3 years old, like consciousness,
yeah,
or whatever you want to call it, right? So like if you're a sentient being, so to speak, how could you defend what's going on? This is I don't know. I don't have a word for that.
So for those of you that made it this far, thanks for watching. Really, the question is, what do you think about it? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, bye bye.